The presentation of today's racing program is a copyrighted broadcast of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, recreation, or retransmission of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling, soon to be joined by my cohort, Anthony Stabile, who's to my left. Big Saturday of racing, a lot of turf racing on today's card is the holiday, I'm not sure, it's some festival, Thanksgiving Racing Festival, Holiday Racing Festival continues as we move forward here at the Big A, and a lot of good action, by the way, around the country. Big races out at Del Mar. Tis the Law running at Churchill today. I have to ask Anthony what he thinks of that race. We'll match up to $200 deposit using, speaking of Anthony, Big A as the promo code.
That's me.
Also, if you bet at least $50 at all of Aqueduct, Churchill, Del Mar at Fairgrounds. I already got Aqueduct and Del Mar covered. I don't know about Churchill and Fairgrounds, but it's a $25 bonus if you do. Bet 50 at each of those racetracks. Also, want to remind people that there is a Cigar Mile betting challenge only through NYRA Bets. You can play, you have to play it online, and you have to be a member of NYRA Bets. Another reason to sign up. It is next Saturday. It's $500 buy-in. Half the money going towards your live bankroll, half the prize pool, paying down 15 slots. We are seeding the pool with $10,000. Great contest to play. Wish I could play it. It's on the races here at the Big A and the Big A only. Of course, that'll include the Cigar Mile. And very quickly, Tis the Law. Did you try to bet? Are you trying to beat him, Anthony?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
I'm South Bend.
Do you even look at the rest of the field?
South Bend is the other favorite in the race. Steve Asmussen's horse, who's for some reason the name is slipping my mind. Looks like he's going to be loose on the lead, but they're going to have Tis the Law to beat. Both South Bend and Tis the Law will be going around 2 turns for the first time. South Bend won the Street Sense last time out, down over Churchill Downs. He actually has 2 wins at Churchill. Has not left the Bluegrass State yet. We'll see. I'm a big Tis the Law fan. I think it helps his cause that he's already won off of a very similar 8-week gap between races, Barkley Tag and Saratoga.
You're not all bitter that Barkley didn't leave him here for the Remsen?
I'm a little
tad
upset.
I'm a little upset with Barkley.
I'm a little upset.
I wanted to leave
they wanted to get a race over.
Are they taking the bus down?
Over the source.
The Saratoga bus?
I don't believe so. That bus can't be in any kind of driving shape
Hard
anymore, can it?
Hard to believe.
Right? I think that thing was like 15 years old, 17 years ago.
He's a cool horse. I'm rooting for him as well. Obviously happy to see Barkley doing well with it, and the Saratoga people. They were
New York bred
with Funny Side, and he's a New York bred, and I'm a big fan of Barkley's as well. So let's hope he does well going forward. We'll see what happens in that race. See what happens in our races as we start today's card. That was a pretty interesting card. The horse to beat in race number 1, and we both have him third, is the number 3, Henny Penny. I didn't show the replay. It's an odd situation because the reality of Henny Penny was she was right down on the rail for almost most of the running, off a little bit at times, mostly in the rail, and that was the day and a time when the rail was very strong. So it definitely helped her cause. She also may have been a little bit shy going through. I'm not really sure of that. There's positives and minuses, but it does feel like there's a two-headed monster from Jonathan Thomas. The question is, which one do you want? The one that you've got on top, and I end up not picking, is the number 9, Fairy Diva. We'll take a look while you talk about her at the 9 4/5 work. You can see it now for the first time.
Yeah. You actually didn't send me the Saturday videos.
Oh, really?
No, you didn't.
Would it have mattered?
No. Not the training work anyway. I mean, you got to like what you're looking at here, right? And I am looking at this for the first time, but you got to like what you're looking at here. Quite frankly, when I looked at this race, like you said, the Jonathan Thomas 2-headed first-time starter monster, I did not like anything I have already seen from the runners. And I went to Jonathan Thomas.
Ran okay.
I didn't love Henny Penny's race, Andy. I mean, of the runners, yeah, of the runners, but you know, I'm not a big fan with the young horses coming back quick. 3 weeks to me, in this day and age especially, is kind of quick. And I know the turf season's ending, and Dave doesn't go to Florida anymore, so Dave Donker, trainer. So, yeah, they got to try and squeeze one more in.
He and Joel are staying here for the winter.
That was great, wasn't it?
We ran into Joel Rosario downstairs, and Anthony, being the only person who doesn't know that Joel goes to California in the winter, said to him, "What are you doing this winter?" And I said, "He's staying here with us." And Joel goes, "Yeah, I'm staying here with you guys." And Anthony goes, "Really?
Well,
You're staying here with us?"
if he doesn't get the continuation bet, I would not have bought it for a second. He gave me a continuation bet.
Sinker, like Joel was really going to spend the winter with us.
For 8 seconds, I was the happiest person on the planet.
You're insane. Anyhow, I took the other horse for Jonathan Thomas. Didn't want to pick the same one as him. It's a homebred, and this one actually is the one that has better turf pedigree. The second dam was very strong in the turf. It's the first 12 Norse, didn't do much running. They both have turf pedigree. I took the number 4, Jonathan Thomas. I feel like one of these horses, and you put him 1-2. One of these horses, I wouldn't say likely winner, but very, very dangerous here. We just have the two ends of the spectrum. He's a minimal number of starters, but he's had real success with him. A horse I am going to use is the 6 Honor Bell. And I decided not to be a totally ridiculous wise guy and put the horse on top as a stab. I don't really like to do that. But this horse has a gigantic pedigree and was in a pretty big, tough field and did not run last time out. But I don't want to give up on the pedigree of Honor Bell just immediately. So I'm going to use this horse.
Cutting back to 6 furlongs off the 7.
That mischallenged a very nice turf run for George Weaver. Race number 2. I thought race number 2 was a massive headache.
2 and 10 really gave me fits today.
10 I could get some hair. I guess it's the entry they have to beat. They both can win. Found a stat. How about this? The last couple of years at NYRA, the numbers off the claim in dirt sprints for the Cantor Mossy Barn are remarkable. I mean, I knew they were doing well. Did you realize they were? This is an incredible stat. I mean, that's as good as any trainer you'll see. And obviously, unlike, a Rudy or something who has good numbers as well, Rudy Rodriguez, the ROI is going to be higher because it's not the same name. But, these horses are paying $9 to $10.
And we're also talking about a guy like Rudy. You see these numbers for Linda Rice. These are people that have been around 10, 20, 30 years.
Linda doesn't have those numbers.
Kid's been around. No, he doesn't. This kid's been around 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years. So, yeah, they have big numbers, and this horse obviously is a major player.
But it's an entry, and they're going to get overbet. I'm not thrilled with Hardcore Folklore. I prefer the 1 over the 1A. You seem to prefer the 1A. You've taken the 3 Deep Sea, who I don't like at all.
John Toscano's horses have been waking up here at this Aqueduct meet, and more often than not, the horses
smelling salts and then some to wake up. He's been awful.
Yeah, but more often than not, those horses need a race off the bench.
I know, but
and he had it, and I don't think listen. They weren't going to beat Aristocratic last time out.
I know, but did he really do any running? Listen, I'm not thrilled with 1,000% either as a horse. That's why
he's going to be 3 times the price of that entry. So twice the price of the entry.
He's 3 to 1, and the entry's 9 to 5 morning line. That's not 3 times.
I think the entry's going to be shorter.
We'll see.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Well, just look at David's morning line. He's usually more often right than I am. I like the 6 Dark and Cloudy in this race. Comes back as a gelding just 4 weeks after running last time out. And look at who this horse has been racing against. Payne, T Loves a Fight, NYC, Performer, even the off-the-turf Topper T race, Fortin Hill. Come on, this horse has been running against horses that are stakes horses compared to these. Hasn't even run that badly. I know. He's been gelded and he's dropping. I know he's an ex-Jason Service, but it's not as though his form has completely fallen apart. He's just been running over his head.
I'll say this, though, and maybe this is the son of a trainer coming out. 4 weeks to me is just not enough time.
Is that what your dad is, a trainer?
Yeah.
I'm just checking.
That's what he started out. I mean, he started out as a groom, but his first license. Yeah. I don't like the 4 weeks. I don't think it's enough time. And I'm not. Dominic's a fantastic
How long after you
job.
were gelded did it take you to get back in
action?
I'm Got you right back in action?
I'm Seattle Slew, my man.
You are? Really?
Yeah.
Where are your babies? Bring them around.
It's a little short for me.
I don't think that way, so I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
But okay. Swiping Dan showed life last time. Is he ridiculous? Is a big long shot in here?
Listen.
Showed life. This horse who has some back form.
This was one of those races. Again, 7 horses, 6 betting interests. Would not mind having an all ball in the early pick 5 if you think you can get narrow on a couple of other races.
There's nobody in here that's completely impossible. Race number 3. I think the first decision you have to make in race number 3 is which race you're looking at. Are you looking at the one Ocean Fire came out of? Are you looking at the one these 3 horses came out of? Ava Malone, Coileen Bawn, and In Front. I went in another direction here, but I respect the horses out of this race.
Yeah, obviously I went this way, putting In Front on top and Ava Malone second. In Front on the front end this afternoon that afternoon, I should say. Gets a rider changed to Errado Ortiz Jr. in here. Not that Dylan really did anything wrong last time. I just think this filly...
Dylan rode as well.
Yeah, I agree. I just think this filly's probably more meant to have a little bit of a target to run at, like she did first time out. She got the improvement second time. I think now she gets a trip. She gets a rod to... I don't want to say that he's going that the rod ensures she's going to be off the pace, but we know he's not as front runner friendly.
Why would you want him to rate? Why would you want?
I don't necessarily know if I want him to rate. I don't want him sending. I think he's going to let her break.
She didn't get sent last time.
No, but I think he's going to let her break, and I think if he can take a target, he will take a target. And I'll be quite honest with you, I would not be surprised if Ocean Fire was running a little bit more aggressively today. The blinkers seem to sharpen her up a little bit. She showed speed earlier in her career at Saratoga. It would not surprise me if she was a little more aggressively ridden this afternoon. And I don't know what the horse shipping in from Penn's going to do. Touch me not.
Silver Kitten probably has the most speed in here. We'll see. I'm not particularly. I don't think Ocean Front's going to be in front. I can't.
What about the 6? You don't think the 6 coming from out of town?
She's slow. It's not impossible, but she's slow. I think Katana could be forwardly placed in here, and Kieran has good numbers, decent numbers stretching out. Second time star is stretching out maidens in the turf. He is 5 for 12, so I thought that horse wasn't totally ridiculous in this race. You've got her in there. I don't have a strong preference for anybody in that or that race. I don't want Colleen Brown just because she's born, because she just had so many chances of the other ones, and Ava Malone and in front are much more lightly raced. We'll look at the Ocean Fire race, and we're going to Ocean Fire had an absolutely perfect trip. I bet Ocean Fire in this race. And I mean, couldn't run down Balin Rose, who was allowed to walk on the front end, but Junior did everything right here. And great ride by Junior yesterday to win the stake on that No Nay Never, whatever, for Chad at... Whatever.
Nay Lady Nay?
Yeah, wow, that was some ride he gave her. Focus on the Mark Hennick horse, the 6 horse on the outside. This is the horse I think you want out of this race, and I think this is the horse you kind of have to bet in this race. While Ocean Fire was attending on the good rail, on top of the slow pace, Take 10 broke a half slow, was 2.5 to 3 wide most of the race, angled out in the middle of the racetrack in the stretch where no horse were gaining ground, and a race that featured no pace. She was the only horse that was actually gaining ground. If she runs her last race, she's going to be very tough to beat in this race.
Second off a 10-month break.
I think she's extremely dangerous in here. Her last race was very, very good, and I think better than Ocean Fire's race. So I'm going to take her on top. But there's other things going on here. You know, Katana's a little interesting.
Katana's a little interesting. Yeah. I think you have to. I flirted with putting her on top. But I think she's the kind of horse where you have to include her.
Because she ran a little bit last time, Katana, before sort of flattening out. But it's not like she did no running whatsoever.
And we talk about horses like this, but, you know, like we said, Colleen Bawn had so many chances. A lot of these horses have had some chances already. She's a fresh filly stretching out for the first time, who's going to be, even if she takes a little longer, she's got to be 8 to 1, right?
10 to 1, yeah. No, I agree. She's not going to be short. Race number 4, I'm extremely surprised you didn't pick Mo Maverick in here. And we'll show Mo Maverick beating Discretionary Mark and Fast Getaway. And I'm curious, why didn't you pick Jason Service off the claim on a turf sprinter? And we'll show the stat afterwards. Why did you not pick this horse on top?
I feel like this horse is going to take way too much money today. And I felt like last time was kind of the time with him. I know
you and I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think this horse is a very, very big conundrum today.
I agree.
Because he might improve 3 or 4 lengths for Jason off the claim.
And then he's going to gallop.
And then he's probably going to win. But he better improve him. I agree with you, because he is as dressed up as a horse can be. Because he was absolutely walking on the front end last time. And Fast Getaway actually ran well in that race, considering the situation. Then last time out, another unaggressive ride. Fast Getaway was broke on top, and I don't know exactly why Jose took her back. Maybe he was under instructions to do it. Seemed like a mistake. Dave Zars has the great numbers. You're crazy to leave this horse out of multis, but I think you're making a mistake, because he's not going to be 5 to 2.
No, he's going to be 6, 7 to 5.
These horses get bet off the board. And frankly, if he's 5 to 2 or 3 to 1 in here,
he's DOB.
I got a feeling that, like you, I mean, you and I, we may be wrong, but you and I saw this is one of those rare instances we saw the thing exactly the same. He can win, but his last race is as phony as it comes.
And he said it, but I want to go on record saying it as well. We could be wrong, and if this horse improves for Jason Service, he is probably going to win this race because he has speed.
He's not going to eliminate us from any pick 4s or pick 5s that we play. We're not morons. But he's not going to eliminate us. We are morons, but we're not that dumb.
Well
but
said.
he's
You
a
make a
horse
great
that
point.
even off the claim for Jason Service is going to be an underlay. And I just think Fast Getaway, frankly, is a better bet than him. I think he's been compromised in 2 straight races, and he's actually run winning races in 2 straight races, and he's been compromised in both of them, so I prefer him. Now, the other question is, what do you do with Call Me Harry, who you have on top? Call Me Harry obviously didn't want to go long last time out, and he was also buried down and dead inside at Belmont last time because the inside was not the place to be. And I know Holiday didn't come back. I don't know what was going on with Holiday. Did you expect him to be 6th or 7th early?
5 lengths off the lead? No, I did not. I absolutely. Me and Steve Grabowski looked at each other and said, "What's going on here?"
I mean, he didn't run badly, but it just seemed like it was in a completely different. It was weird. Yeah. Maybe they were scared about him getting the distance. Call Me Harry's okay. I mean, listen, this was. You don't win those turns. And he didn't beat a bunch of bums. He beat some decent horses in there, including Bourbon Calling, who's in here, Bourbon Mission. He's okay.
2 daylight turf sprint scores. You get a little bit of a 10-week break. Tried a horse against Open Company, going long, going a mile. I mean, he went to the lead. He didn't really run awful. He wasn't terrible on the English Channel. He was just overmatched. Now he's back in against
also the wrong part of the racetrack.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't good in the English Channel, but he probably just won a mile.
That's what I'm saying. He's going beyond, and he's supposed to be tight for this now. Back in with the State Breds, back to the turf sprint. Gets Joel.
Who's spending the winter here?
Who's spending the winter? I mean, this horse is going to get a good setup, right? He's got a target in Mo Maverick automatically.
Well, isn't Mo Diddley supposed to go for the rail?
That's
right.
And then he has 2 targets, sure.
Yeah. And like anything else, Jose Ortiz needs to be more aggressive with Fast Getaway. Not saying he's being a lead today, but make sure that he leads enough to force the pace. Because if the 1 doesn't go, he's going to have to make sure that Mo Maverick is more honest. Now the 1's supposed to go here. I don't know how the 1 can possibly win the race. Doesn't go. And I actually think the 1 Mo Diddley has a chance in this race. He's got turf sprints that aren't terrible.
I'll tell you what, he doesn't owe me any money. I've had a lot of success with him. When he wins, I've usually been on the bandwagon.
Good to know. Race number 5.
What? You point these out all the time, and I make one comment about Mo Diddley, and it's good to know.
You can make fun of me when I say it.
There's nothing to make fun of. We have these horses. We have horses that we have. I have Jack, Chris DiCarlo. When Chris DiCarlo pays a big price, I'm usually on. I have a lot of luck with Chris DiCarlo.
What does Chris do with this?
I don't know. Carsey Powell, Spin Cycle. Those are 2
race number 5.
5-figure
maiden
scores.
Races. I guess in race number 5, the horse to beat is always misbehaving. I don't have a knock on this horse. Put him second because I have to bet a horse in this race, but I'm not against this horse.
Yep, me either. I just wanted to.
Find his races.
He's another horse. I feel like unless.
Where's he been is the only question.
Yep.
What's taken him 3 months to get back to the races of his last race?
And I would
he had
think,
a gap in works for a couple months, so maybe got sick or something.
I would think unless they're going to bet the horse I put on Top Secret Rules, I think this horse is going to be closer to even money than 6 to 5 too. I think Misbehavior's going to take a ton of Always Misbehavior's going to take a ton of money with 3 Technique in the card. No.
So what? But he's run figures that are slower than your horse. Secret Rules. We'll look at Secret Rules running second last time. I don't have a knock on Secret Rules. He ran fine last time.
Yeah. He ran okay.
Yeah.
And this was the kind of horse the barn always felt like that when he had some seasoning, he'd get a little bit better. Now he has 2 starts.
This was the famous tip.
Yes.
Lee told me, I was walking home from the track with Lee. Einschleider owns him, and Lee said, I have a horse and he's going to either win or run badly. And I said, well, that's good to know. Like I couldn't care less anyway, but yeah. Well, he ran 3rd.
I mean, ran against Governor Morris, who appears to have a little bit of a future.
Yeah, he was
just. Though he ran well last time.
Not badly. Yeah, he's fine, this horse.
Yeah, I just took a shot. I mean, again, another horse where, of course, we're going to be using Always Misbehaving. I'm going to use the 1, 3, and 6, and hope to.
As far as Extreme Force, you know, this is a horse that I really liked off a huge trouble trip on August 31st. Also buried down the inside, had a brutal trip in that race, and actually ran well. And I'm not sure he really ran worse than Always Misbehaving. May have run better than that one in a funny way. And he's a horse who's had excuses, bad starts. Now, last time out with the blinkers, he ran off. And I'll agree, he stopped. I don't like the way he stopped. But Mark Hennig's taking the blinkers off, and this horse has had a lot of excuses. This is the last time. This is my last dance with Extreme Force.
Divorce papers drawn up?
Well, no, the only time I bet him was last time. It's not like I have a big history of betting this horse. But, you know, he's going to have to run well today. I'm not saying he's going to win because it's not an easy field, but I'm going to bet Extreme Force.
Picked 2 Mark Hennig horses in the first 5 races. You looking for an invite to the Christmas party?
I don't go to Christmas parties.
I know you don't.
No, I have no interest whatsoever. I think the Naira Christmas party, I think, is next week. I
That
won't be
would,
going to that
involve you,
either.
that would involve you having to talk to people.
That's correct. That's correct. That's exactly right. The two Menelik is a little interesting. This is really a dirt family for Jonathan Thomas. And I wonder if they ran in the turf because the American Pharaohs seem to be good in the turf. I saw they have that sire pool for the Dougie Derby.
Yes.
And American Pharaoh was 8-1 morning line. I don't know what price he is, but does he have anybody that's realistically even on the Triple Crown Trail?
I couldn't imagine he does.
Yeah.
But he's, he'll generate some handle.
I'd like to book him at 8-1. Anyway, I thought this horse was a little bit interesting in here. I wouldn't want to completely dismiss it.
You can play that, but you can play the first pool on Naira Bets. It's right under Aqueduct, actually.
My handle will be significantly higher at every racetrack in the country. It'll be no lower.
It's hard for me to get involved
I'm
in
not
the
betting
November
futures
pool.
pools.
Yeah.
I'm not betting them. I don't. Doesn't interest me. They're very rare.
I had a lot of success with Funny Side, but other than that.
He was 92-1. He
Yeah.
shouldn't have been in that first pool.
Yeah.
It's rare that those situations. I mean,
I
I just want to
correct.
book the horses in those pools.
Right.
Race number 6 gave me a headache, and I scratched into it. I like the one, Go Poke the Bear, that scratched. I scratched into a horse I'm not thrilled with, Bourbon in May. I don't know. I didn't really like the last race, but gets the rail. I don't have a strong opinion. I'm more anti here. Tangled Web, we'll take a look at Tangled Web winning last time. And Tangled Web may win, and it does look like the controlling speed again in this race, but I don't know, man.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly
know.
right.
Beaten
I
up,
don't know,
beaten up
man.
on 3-year-old restricteds. Now he's facing olders. I'm just not thrilled with this horse overall. I don't know. I had a lot of trouble with this race. This horse can win. I don't really love the horse I don't like here at all is Bray.
Who I put on top.
Yeah, he doesn't make any sense to me at all. He just rode a good rail and beat a horrendous field last time and got a perfect trip to do it. I think if Bray takes money in here, well, why would you want him back?
Because I'm not thrilled with the rest.
But the horse of Danny Gargan's is a better horse. He beat a better field. I know he was second beating the neck and got put up, but that was a significantly better field than this, and he had significant trouble starting point. I mean, starting point didn't break well. He was wide on both turns, and he kept on running. You want a horse out of a maiden win. Starting point, I know he didn't finish first, but starting point ran a lot better than Bray.
Listen.
I'll put it this way. If Bray had the trip starting point had in that race, Bray would be running in a maiden 20 in his next start.
I understand.
I'm telling you that.
I understand where you're coming from. This was a kind of race
Well, how Bray
again.
can win
And
here.
the way I play, I want to get alive in the pick 5, and I just want to use a handful of horses. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9. Maybe Mohican stretching out can wake up a little
The
bit.
problem with Mohican is the Rudy Rodriguez numbers. Rudy Rodriguez has horrendous, now off the claim and turf routes, Rudy Rodriguez is 1 for 36. Stretching from a sprint to a route, he's 0 for 10. He just doesn't seem to win in these situations, but Mohican is a horse that has run well enough in turf routes in the past, 70s and 80s 2 years ago. No, but Rudy doesn't win with these horses.
No, he
And
doesn't.
you really want to bet Benji Hernandez in these turf routes? I don't want to be too hard on Benji, but he's not winning.
Let me ask you this, though. After the draw and everything, shouldn't his instructions just be to go today? Or you think that Tangled Web's just fast enough?
Well, he could be whipping and slashing and have an engine on his
Just
back
try
and be
and
2
go.
lengths behind Tangled Web. Anthony, you've got to start looking at pace figures. You really do.
I see him
have
stretching
to,
out.
You have to start looking at pace figures. So at
And
least
maybe that's
when
the
you
in-
try to make these determinations, you've got horses that are within hailing distance. If Tangled Web doesn't fall down at the start and the rider rides him at all like he's supposed to, he can't not be in front of this horse. I mean, if they want to send this horse on a crazy suicide mission and run dead last, fine. But you're going to like
Why
him.
does he automatically have to run dead last if he's...
Because if he's in front of Tangled Web, he'll be last.
Okay.
He'll be last in here.
Okay.
That I'm confident of.
All right.
Unless Tangled Web falls down at the start or his rider decides to rip his face off and
All
give him
right.
0 chance to win. But I'm not sure why you would take back a horse that can only win in the front end. And as far as I can tell, that Jose Ortiz guy, he's a pretty good rider.
He's pretty aggressive.
Right? He's pretty good rider, right?
He's all right.
Where's Rudy might be the better of the two. I mean, it's a reclaim by Rudy, but once again, another claim by Rudy in a turf route.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, whereas Rudy's first turf race was good enough to win here.
Sure.
But it's just Rudy will have to claim with turf routers. They don't seem to win. Race number 7. You're doing race number 7. Fully vested?
Yeah.
Take a look at fully vested. This is fully vested winning at Saratoga for running 3rd. He's the horse to beat, right?
Yeah, and I could be accused of being a little too narrow-minded in here, but here's my...
Or in general.
this or in general, sure. I have no problem with that. Here's my lean for the day.
Really?
I'll be singling him in the pick 5, pick 4.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. I'm against.
You'll be sorry after the 7th.
I will not be sorry after the 7th. I'm against Jadu in here, who you put on top. I just.
Why are you against the horse that's going to be 3rd or 4th choice?
You think he's not going to be 2nd choice?
I don't know. I think he's going to win.
He'll be 2nd choice.
I think he's much the worst to beat in here, actually.
I think you're crazy.
I think for once, Irad just needs to go with him from the rail. Stop fooling around. Just stop fooling around. When this horse has been successful, he's been forward. This is the right spot.
That's what I'm counting on.
He's finally in the right spot. He was
I'm counting
against,
on him going.
He had no shot last
fully
time.
vested sitting off him.
You know, he didn't break that well, and then he's chasing that super pace. The Final Frontier race, you gotta be aggressive with this horse. And today's the day to be aggressive with Guido and show what he can do. And I think Guido is really dressed down in this race. I think he's had a lot of legitimate excuses, and his races are not nearly as bad as they look. And I think today is the day he gets it done.
Okay.
Fully vested could win. Got him 2nd. He's not impossible. I mean, listen, I don't think Vici's totally impossible in here. He just doesn't seem to win. He should have won that Alexander race. I think the horse I don't get is Dubini. What am I supposed to like about Dubini?
Yeah, I put him 3rd, but he would need a big collapse in here to get a piece. I think my boy Lon Twist might be able to get a piece of this in here too.
I totally agree, and
Yeah.
I considered putting him 2nd. I actually almost went 1, 4, 5. People may make the mistake with Lon Twist. I want to show you this race. He doesn't break in here.
Nope.
It's number 11, so he breaks a length is so slow. This is not a horse that fell into a perfect trip to win. The initial feeling is that this horse, he just sucked up and a race was falling apart. Not the case. He got left, and he was on a rush, 3 and 4 wide, moving prematurely, moving too soon. Arguably, he's the one that kind of broke the race open, widest of all, and yet he still held on to victory. This last race by this horse was very, very good.
Huge effort.
Yeah, now I don't know if it's good enough to beat these horses, but this was a very, very impressive performance. But this is the kind of performance that I expected from him when I kept picking him, and he kept losing. Now, I did pick him 2 back when he won, but there were some days I bet him, that race, a Karatari race at Saratoga. Imagine if he ran this race that day.
He's got to move forward, obviously, to be a win contender in here, but I don't see any reason why he can't get a piece of the pie.
Maybe he's a horse that took that step forward on this Aqueduct turf course. And some horses do seem to run
too.
well on these courses.
Yep.
Now, this is the outer course, not the inner turf course, but I agree. No, I agree with you. His last win was very, very good. A lot better than I think people are going to realize. And I agree. So maybe you want to back up a little him with your pick 5 or pick 4.
I might. I was thinking about that. The problem is I have a tough time in race 6. You just got to go a little thinner and try to. You got to try and guess right almost in a couple of races, namely the 6th and the 10th.
Or
which
you
we'll
could
get
play
to.
the pick 4 if you don't want to play the pick 5.
That's what I'll probably do. I'll probably come back and make a pick 4 ticket.
Race number 8 in Discovery, I thought it came up very, very strong. And, I'd be interested to see who's favored. And maybe David's right with Forum being favored. I don't think he should be. I think Tax should be favored in here.
You think he will? You think? I think Tax should be favored too, but he won't be.
I think Tax should be favored. I'm not sure he will be favored. I think he should be favored in here.
Okay.
I understand that Tax should have won this race, and he probably should have won by 5 lengths. That doesn't mean that Tax didn't run reasonably well in this race. And if you look at Tax, the only bad race he's ever run, and the only one he hasn't run that was really good for Danny Gargan, was in the slop in the Derby when they knew he wouldn't run anyway. He didn't take a nickel that day. I thought he ran very well in the Belmont when he was chasing outside the whole way. He only got beaten a couple lengths, less than 3 lengths, chasing outside. He wins this race. Frankly, even his Travers wasn't that bad.
No,
it's not like he ran
outside
terribly in the
draw.
Travers. He just wasn't going to win that day anyway. It's not like he just gave it up and got beaten 100 in there. He didn't run badly at all. I didn't pick him on top because I want to go for a slight price here, but I think Tax is the horse to beat in here.
I would agree. I think he's the horse to beat too.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful. Anytime a horse is second choice because they're betting a horse on the come, Tax has done it. Performer has run good races, but he hasn't beaten the best of horses. I know he beat Payne.
I don't know if I'm as sure as you that he won't be favored at post time.
I'm not sure he won't be either. I'm not saying, I'm just talking about David's morning line, and I tend to side with David because he's usually right in these situations.
Me too.
And I don't have a strong opinion about it. We'll talk about Performer. I don't know that Performer really ran much better than Grump's Little Tot in this race. That's the thing. Because he was allowed to get away with that incredibly slow first quarter, and Grump's Little Tot decided to play catch-up from there and then try to chase him down the inside. I know Performer passed the distance test, but he passed it in a one-turn race, setting a very slow first quarter. This is not going to happen in here. The 7 Carlos L is going in this race, assuming he doesn't fall down at the start. And obviously, Shug thinks he wants to go long. Shug McGahee knows his horses. I think that Performer is going to be dramatically way overbet here.
Yeah, I don't know if I completely agree with that. I don't know if he's going to be overbet.
Every time he runs, he takes a ton of money.
And you'll probably rip me apart on this. I don't think he wanted to be on the lead last time. I think he was on the lead because when you're going to try to do something,
when you're going 24 in the first quarter, you want to be on the lead.
Yeah,
you want to be on the lead if you're a dead closer.
There was no speed in the race.
So he's walking on the front end. So he had a 2-length advantage, drew a crawling first quarter, and would turn into a 6.5 furlong race, crawling on the front. He basically, Anthony, closed.
He turned it into a sprint.
He closed into his own pace. When you close into your own pace, you can't lose.
No. It's very hard to. It's very hard to.
That's what he really did.
I will defend him by saying that.
I'm not saying he's a bad horse.
No, I know
he's
you're
a
not.
good horse.
There are a couple of people out there that have just, they're taking some shots, thinking that he's going to be an overbet favorite today. Number one, I don't think he's going to be as big a favorite. I think he will ultimately be the favorite. I don't think he'll be as big a favorite as other people think.
They love this horse, and I don't.
Yeah, but people see that Tax is more accomplished. I think that's what it was last time. I think it was a little confusing last time as he was trying to stretch out for the first time. He was running against horses that had run long already, and I think, a horse that's just making his 4th career start. I'm going to forgive them a little bit. He's been brought
along in a very reasonable manner by a great trainer. I'm not saying he couldn't improve. I don't think he's supposed to be 8-5 and Grump's Little Tot's supposed to be 8-1. I think Grump's Little Tot, who gets a favorable weight break today on him based on the last race, didn't have the best of trips against him considering the dynamics of the race. I don't think Grump's Little Tot is that significantly less likely to win this race than Performer, and Performer is going to be a fraction of the price that Grump's Little Tot. A lot of people look and say, oh, he beat him, so he'll just beat him again. Maybe he will, and I don't love the outside draw of Grump's Little Tot, but I'd like to see Jose leave with him and get positioned the first turn behind Carlos L. And I think Grump's Little Tot's going to offer real value in this race.
Okay.
You obviously don't like him at all, and that's fine.
I'm not a fan. I want to get Mubarmaj in the number.
Yeah, Mubarmaj is a funny horse because he's not good enough based on his races.
No, he has to improve.
He's had absolutely perfect trips, and he's beating up on lesser and running slower figs. But he draws well inside, and he's going to be kind of just sitting in there, hoping that others get themselves into trouble, and he's going to try to come along at the end. Yeah. I don't think he's good enough to do it, but I'm not sure he doesn't have a chance. I'm going to throw him in.
Yeah, and much like Performer, Chad Brown, I think, has done a fantastic job of just bringing this horse along.
Performer's just been faster than this horse.
He's just been faster. That's it. And if this horse continues to improve, I think this horse can be a major player.
Well, I'm not sure how much he's improved, though, because he's been on the gold rail in 2 straight races. I know he moved off it in that last race, but he was on the rail for most of the race.
I like the fact that he went on one on the lead, 2 back.
On a gold rail.
But he was
on a gold rail.
Listen, he showed ability to rate off. But
that's what matters, Anthony.
No, it's not what matters. When a horse can show versatility in his 3rd start, when he can make up some ground in his debut, going 6.5 when he doesn't want to sprint, and then he can go wire to wire.
How do you know he doesn't want to sprint?
He doesn't want to sprint.
How do you know?
Because he doesn't. Because he runs like a horse that doesn't want to sprint. He
ran fine sprinting. He ran fine sprinting. He didn't run
I didn't say he run bad sprinting. I said he doesn't want to sprint.
Sprinting. It was his first start. Maybe he improved since then. You make an awful lot of assumptions that aren't necessarily being backed up by fact. I'm sorry.
You don't think both of his distance races were better than his debut?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I do.
That was his debut. He's supposed to be a little bit better. Frankly, he was on a gold rail. He had a much better trip in both of his distance races than he did in his debut.
No question about that.
I'm not convinced that he couldn't be effective going shorter.
Okay.
I'm not convinced he won't be effective going longer, but I'm not going to rule out the fact that he could be 6.5 or 7 furlongs and be effective. I don't think that way.
Okay.
Race number 9. I thought Graham Motion had an absolute stranglehold on this race. You obviously don't agree. You picked a horse that I don't know how. You must be expecting 8 horses to fall into a hole to get this slow.
You didn't think I was going to pick the half the sister Charlie stretching out to a mile and 3/8 for the first time?
She's terrible. She's terrible. You picked her last time when she was a badly overbet against Dream Passage. When has my sister? I don't care if she's a half sister to God. What race has she run that makes her remotely competitive here? And what makes you think that she's supposed to love a mile and a half? Chad Brown is just hoping she will, and he's throwing against the wall. She's going to be 6 or 8 to 1 here. She should be 25 to 1 in this race.
I'll find out at 8 to 1 if she wants the mile.
8 to 1's an underlay on her. Where are her good races? You can't just pick every horse that Chad Brown sends out and say he wins at a high percentage. I'll just keep picking his horses. Where is her race that makes her competitive? Where is her excuse in her races? She's had good trips in her races. She's not any good.
She's winning graded stakes and getting beat 4 lengths in grade 1s over in Europe. She's running against grade 3 fillies here, grade 2
How is she?
best.
What has been her excuse in her races so far? Other than being slow.
Hold on. Number 1 is a mile and 3/8 today.
Okay.
I think she
was running mile and 8 race over in Europe. She won a Group 3 at a mile and 1/8. She's not the horse she was in Europe.
Okay.
Chad Brown's had 3 chances with her. 3 chances.
At a mile and a 16th. Second time she had no chance when she
never
got
went long
bothered at the
over in
start.
Europe. She never went long over in Europe.
She won a mile and a quarter and she got beat 3 lengths from Magic
a prayer because it's Chad Brown. He's not the favorite. It's just a prayer. This is, to me, an irresponsible pick, in my opinion.
Okay.
I really think this is just a silly thing. You want to throw her in as Chad, it's one thing. She has never run a race that makes her remotely competitive here.
And she can't improve going along.
Why should she improve after she's had 3 starts in this country and done no running?
Because she hasn't gone longer.
Where in her career has it appeared that they wanted to go super long with her?
She's 4. She's run 9 times. She got beat 3 lengths to Magic Wand before.
This is nonsense. She's a
7-month
This is
break.
a nonsensical argument. You're making a nonsensical argument. You're making an argument to fit a horse that you've decided you want to pick, rather than horses that can actually win.
The horse in this race that is clearly the horse to beat is the horse you put on top and the horse I have second.
Right, but you're not picking a sneaky horse in the come. You're picking Chad Brown in a stake race. You're picking Chad Brown in a stake race.
I'm going to get 8 or 10 to 1.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
What do you think she's going to be?
I think she should be 40 to 1 in this race.
Well, what you think and what she's going to be are 2 different stories. What do you think she's going to be?
David has her 8 to 1. I'll defer to him. But Chad Brown's rarely that high, and when he is, it's usually a reason. I don't know. This horse. She had a mild stumble at the start last time. It wasn't a major stumble last time, but she was running against better horses. The pace held together, and she's been good. I think it was a better field. She was in here last year, and she actually ran well at a big price.
No question.
She's the horse to beat. I actually think the Mercillo will run better. We'll take a look at the Empress of the Nile race. I know Empress of the Nile got a good trip, and last time was the time. Homeland Security did save ground there, but she broke 3/4 length slow, and I thought she ran a winning race. Don't know how strong this race was overall, but I mean, I don't have a knock on these horses. I could use all of them.
I think the only one I would want out of this race is the winner.
What's wrong with Homeland Security?
She's just the winner's making up the ground. The winner's doing the real running.
But Homeland Security is totally held up between horses here, and the winner had a perfect trip in there. And Homeland Security did not get a clean run. Homeland Security could win this race, and absolutely win this race. Handles given the ground.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind trying at a price too. Michael Dickinson's horse, the 9 lift up. Wouldn't mind trying to get that horse in the number.
Because
horse has a decent record on turf. She's stretching out too. Yeah, she won
a mile and 70 yards at Mountaineer.
She's won 1.5 for starts. She's another horse with her pedigree. She's stretching out to a mile and 3/8. Listen, I am not thrilled with anything out of the Zagora. So I want to see some fresh horses. If CKS Buena shows up, she's going to beat these horses.
I'll get my sister Nat in the winner's circle, and I'll be happy to see Chad and Peter Brandt in the winner's circle, but she, on paper, to me, has absolutely no chance.
I'm going to take one little shot against the 1. I'm using the 1 and the 4, and that's it. That's it.
I'm not letting you off the hook for picking her. Race number 10. Race number 10 is an interesting race to close it out. Where'd you go in here?
I told you, the 2nd and the 6th races, I probably spent the same amount of time on those 2 as the other 8.
So you copped out with Elios Milos.
I did.
Who's been awful.
I absolutely did. I have no defense of this pick. I copped out on this pick. That was it. It was a complete cop-out pick. I think ultimately he is the most talented horse in this race. He has a bunch of problems, I would assume. But I just picked him, hoping that he can just fire a good shot and beat these horses.
A lot of people are going to like Max Revolution. Eddie Barker, 1 to 10s on the dirt. He's 5 for 42. In sprints, he's 3 for 32 with a 49-cent ROI. Not good numbers coming in short rest. As far as Johnny Wishbone, I don't love him. I don't love anybody in here. I want him cutting back. This is not a router. I don't know what they were thinking going long with this horse last time.
I don't
in
either.
a funny way, he's almost like off the claim in a dirt sprint for an operation that we've seen earlier, has great numbers off the claim in dirt sprints. He got a ridiculous ride and trip 2 races back when he somehow got him shuffled back to dead last, and he's a speed horse. This horse is raced 3 back. Will win this race.
Yeah.
And I think there's reasons to give him excuses.
Oh,
for
his
the last
horses.
couple
This horse
races.
is raced three back. I'll drown these horses.
I think he can, and he's not. He has speed, and you know, it looks like the pace is going to be with the 5 coming out, the 6 and 8. So I think he can stalk those horses and get a good trip. I thought he made a lot of sense here. I don't think Talent Scout's impossible. People are going to look at the claim and they're going to see T1 Chang. T1 Chang's actually ridden okay in the few races.
And
He's
Billy
won a few races.
does a good job with his horses.
This horse. He didn't have the cleanest of trips last time. He was kind of unlucky. He's not impossible. I'm going to try 1s and 11s.
Listen, it would be hard for me to see Call the Cat. It would be hard for me to see Our American Star.
How you like that American Star one day at 11 to 1? He ran second.
I remember. It would be hard for me to. It would be hard for me to take
Bronxville's not
Quest
impossible.
for Fire.
Yeah, Bronxville's not impossible.
Right. The other 6. The other 6
I don't like
could see.
Tyson Oxbow. I'm not going to bet that horse. I guess he's not completely
He's
impossible.
not. I put him. I mean.
You've got him second?
I do.
You're really excited about the 40 and SIP race?
I'm not excited about anything. I didn't know what to do.
Maybe you
with
should
it.
have picked My Sister Nat.
Think
she can win here?
I did pick My
You think
Sister
she can
Nat.
win here?
Oh my!
Maybe they could cut her back in this race after the Long Island.
Listen, I'm not even betting a lot of money today, but if I could use my one time, I want to use my one time on My Sister
Only
Nat
if I'm allowed to make fun of you when these horses run.
Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out.
But I
But
don't
I'm
wanna
telling
do
you right
that.
now, My Sister Nat wins. I'm probably going to crash the picture. And when you come here Thursday, you are going to get it, my friend. Wow, am I going to be ready to roll on you. Oh, my one times today. I don't
What
care
do
if it's
I
for
get if
$43.
what do I get if she doesn't win?
$43.
What do you-
I'm using my one
You gotta
time
realize,
today with My
I'm
Sister
happy
Nat.
when Chad Brown wins, so I
got
won't
it.
mind it. I'll enjoy the fun anyway.
The abuse I took today.
You deserve abuse for picking her. You deserve abuse for picking her.
I'm using
Because this is I'm going to pick Chad Brown pick. You can dress it up however you want, but this is an I'm going to pick Chad Brown.
Got me
mistake
losing
pick.
my microphone and everything.
You know it. Nadia's back, so behave yourself.
That's
okay?
not Nadia, that's Leanne.
Oh, it's Leanne. Jesus.
Dunce, you want to dunce cap it?
All right.
You want to dunce cap it? Dunce cap it Thursday?
No, I'm not making 8 to 1s dunce cap horses because you don't make big prices dunce cap horses because if somebody likes a big price, if you like My Sister Nat, you should bet on her. I just think it's a horrible pick.
Okay.
I think it's a horrible cop-out on your part.
Okay.
We ready now?
I wish there was a way we could figure out a bet between Jadu and My Sister Nat.
Jadu will finish before My Sister Nat. The question is, will My Sister Nat finish before Johnny Wishbone? Anyhow, head over to Naira Bets.
This guy, man.
You want to join Naira Bets? You've had so much fun today. You should be joining Naira Bets. We'll match it with $200.
This was fun today.
Use the promo code MySisterNat. AKA Big A.
My favorite
Sign
horse
up for
today.
Naira Bets, and you're going to see in a moment why you need to sign up for Naira Bets if you're not already a member. $25 bonus, by the way, if you bet $50 at all of Aqueduct, Churchill, Del Mar, and Fairgrounds. So I could bet like $50 to show somewhere at Churchill and Fairgrounds. I don't know what I can do there. That's going to be tough for me to do that one. Anyhow, we do have as a
Isn't Chimney Rock running the fairgrounds today?
I don't. We have a. There's only so much I can look at, Anthony.
I know.
Cigar Mile Challenge. You can only play it through Naira Bets. Only online as a Naira Bets holder.
That's gonna be fun.
$500 buy-in, $250 towards the live money, $250 towards the prize pool, and $10,000 seated. $10,000 seated. So you want to play that. I wish I could. On the Aqueduct races. You know, my friend Steve makes a good point. I should have abused you more for picking Bray than I abused you on My Sister Nat. Actually, I think he's right. So we'll revisit that one later. Anyhow, I hope you have as much fun as Anthony and I had today. 10 races. Maggie's still on vacation, but I'll be here in the studio.
Wow.
Getting you through. Have a great day at the Big A. Johnny I up next for the reprise of Scratch, or the first time the Scratch and Changes. Hey, Jose.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem.